and welcome to yet another episode of the Linda Ogweno Political Show. In this show, we purpose to bring better governance to Kenya by training aspirants on politics and political processes in Kenya. You know that for you to be running for a political seat, you should be having a campaign budget that will help you plan and organize all your activities that you're going to handle. Before we get into the details of it, because that is the exact topic that we want to cover in this particular episode, allow me to read for you the words of Luke 14:28 that says, "Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it?" So this scripture reminds us that leadership is about planning, and for you to be able to do it well, that is where it begins. So let's look at what are the things that you need to have in your campaign budget. So first, you're going to look at all the items that will involve voter outreach. What are the activities that you're going to have in your campaign, and how are you going to be able to reach the voters? All these things, depending on the strategy that you're going to use, all of them have a cost implication. Say, for example, you want to do the door-to-door strategy that is usually very cost efficient, but still, you may have to incur the cost of even a bottle of water, or maybe some snacks along the way. And as you go door-to-door to the voters' houses, you may probably find a situation that is very dire that you may want to address as a candidate. So you have to budget and you have to have money allocated and finances allocated to all these different activities. So first, we're going to look at posters, the IEC materials that you're going to have, be it posters, be it banners, be it billboards, be it branded flyers. All these things, they have to be designed and printed at a cost. We're going to look at branded merchandise. For example, you may be having t-shirts, capes, reflector jackets, wristbands, lassos, aprons, and the list goes on and on. All these things come at a budget. You want to figure out how many you need to have, budget for it. And yes, another one is you're going to probably have town hall meetings, or you're going to have maybe barazas, chief barazas. You may want to meet with faith-based groups, or go to their churches. All these things, you need money and you need resources for them. You may have want to sponsor tournaments. For example, let's say football tournaments. Some people also do table pool tournaments, funerals, weddings, harambes, all these things. You want to budget for them. The other thing you want to look at is your campaign manifesto. And your campaign manifesto, there is a cost when it comes to drafting it. Maybe you're hiring professionals who are going to do research. You may want to pay them their allowances. And after you have drafted it, there's also the cost of printing it. And some people go ahead and even translate it to the local language. All that come at a cost. You may want to do civic engagement, with different categories of people, be it the youth, be it the women in your particular area. These come at a cost. The next thing you're going to look at is media and publicity. If you want to go and market yourself, let's say using radio stations and TV stations, this comes at a cost. They normally charge. And so you want to start early and find out for that probably local radio station, local vernacular radio station, what are the charges that they are charging and for how many minutes. Again, you may also want to advertise there. That comes at a charge. Social media campaigns. For example, like Facebook, they have these promotions usually that they run. If you want to utilize those ones, they come at a cost. And that applies to YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter, formerly Twitter, currently X. If you want to have a website to be developed, you probably want to do that. There are the cost of the person who is developing it, and there's also the cost of hosting. Again, you must have your IEC material. So photography is inevitable. So your photo has to be taken. You may have some videos that are marketing you. All those come at a cost. The cost of a photographer and the cost of photography. You may want to go to a studio for your photos to be taken, or you may want to buy those equipments and have them. Please be on the lookout for the episode where we'll talk about photography and videography during campaigns. Again, the other thing you want to look at is graphic design. Would you hire somebody? And which apps are they going to use? Some of these applications have annual fee or subscription fees. So you want to budget for all that. Print media, are you going to be in the newspaper, for example? Are you going to advertise yourself using that method? That comes at a cost. bulk SMS. Do you want to reach people through bulk SMSs or bulk email address, and even WhatsApp outreach? All those come at a cost. The other cost you want to consider is staff and volunteers. For your staff, you need to pay them whether salary or wages, depending on what you agreed on. But even when you look at volunteers, volunteers have to be trained. Okay, so it has a cost implication to it. Again, do you want these people to maybe have a uniform? Will they be wearing reflector jackets or badges or t-shirts or lanyards? All those come at a cost. Again, these people must eat, they must have their airtime, they must have their transport. All those you may have to purpose for them. You want to look at campaign logistics. Do you have vehicles? These vehicles, they need to be fueled, they probably need to be parked somewhere. All these are things you have to look at. If you have public address systems or tents, you're going to places, you may want to hire, or you may want to buy and have them for yourself to minimize cost. All these you want to plan for them, be it generators, be it lighting. If you're having people, meeting people, you want to consider having refreshments. Maybe you're meeting people at a particular venue. When it comes to logistics, definitely you have to look at accommodation. You may travel out of town, and you and your team have to sleep somewhere. That is something that will definitely come at a cost. The next cost item you want to look at is the legal and compliance. Definitely, IEBC has nomination fees that you need to pay. So these are depending on the seat that you're vying for. If it's MCA, senator, they have different fees that IEBC charges. And look out for the episodes where we have tackled these particular fees in depth. So you want to have that money, be able to raise it and be able to submit it to IEBC. In addition to that, political parties also charge for you to be able to run using their tickets. And again, watch out the episode where we talked about political parties and that's which to consider before you join a political party. So you need to have this money and be able to raise it. Again, there are legal services that are just needed. You may find yourself in a dispute, you want to sue, or maybe you also sued. You have to be able to pay your lawyer. Again, you find that you need licenses. For example, if you want to hold a rally, the county government has the license fee that they are charging. You want to be able to raise that and pay it. Even if you're going around with your public address and just letting people know, that comes usually at a cost. Again, another thing you want to be doing is looking at the polling agents and tallying team. The day of election is a very crucial day for you, and we will look at that in depth. So who are the agents that you have on that particular day? They come at a cost. Are you going to have a tallying center? If you're going to have a tallying center, you need to plan for, maybe let's say laptops, equipment, data. The clerks will be working in that particular place, their food, and even that applies for food for the agents who will be there with you, and just the coordination, the transport, the supervisor, that needs to be completely sorted out. Even the stationery and even phones, because they may need to take evidence. If they see something that is going wrong, they may need to take a photo of evidence and send it to you. So you need to plan for that well. Again, the other cost item is research and strategy. We had mentioned in our previous episode that you need to do a research of that particular area where you're going to vie. You may want to also know one or two things more about your opponent. So you could allocate this responsibility to people so that they're able to do that. So that of course comes at a cost. And this data that you have found, where are you going to keep it? Again, you may want to be involved in voter registration, be it at the party level or even at the national level. These are just the campaign strategies that you may involve yourself in to give yourself publicity. And voters may align to your and vote for you just because you mobilize them to be able to register as party members or as IEBC members. So those are things that come at a cost, and you want to plan for them. And this data that you find, it if you want a professional to analyze it for you, then that comes at a cost. You may want to do a SWOT analysis to help you know what is my strength, what are my weakness in this particular area that I'm going to campaign. All these comes at a cost. Branding and image. What are you going to wear? Which hairstyle are you going to adorn for the campaign period? How are you going to look? Definitely, when you're meeting different classes of people, you need to look differently. And of course, watch out for the episode where we talk about branding and image, but that comes at a cost and you want to plan for it. You want to maybe train yourself if you're called for a TV interview or just media engagements. How are you going to speak? If you're going to hire a trainer, then that may come at a cost. If you're going to have somebody to deal with propaganda, in campaign, somebody may just hit you with something that is very negative, and you may want to have somebody to just counter that, or just somebody to be going through social media and seeing if there's any comment that needs a counter. If you hire somebody, that definitely you will have to pay them for that. Again, you want to plan for communication costs. We're talking airtime, we're talking bundles, we are talking the phone themselves, mobile data, internet, if it's your office, all that comes at a cost for the office and even for the team. And that comes to even routers and SMS platforms. Again, if you have a communication app or a water data tools that you're going to use, these may come at cost. Definitely, you have to think about security, your personal security, the security of your team, the security of your equipment, the security of data that you've already collected. You want to look at the vehicles, passwords. Yes, you will definitely have different social media accounts. So the passwords, you want to think about that so that you don't get in trouble with that. If you have an office, you want to think about the security of your office as well. We're also talking about events. If you're going for an event, how are you going to take care of your security and that of your team? Again, you want to secure sensitive materials. For example, your nomination papers. Okay, so don't prepare your nomination papers and then they can get stolen. Yes, this is politics and people are malicious. All your documents may just disappear. So you want to find out for the documents that are very important to you, how you're going to keep them. Are you going to use the services of a bank, for example, for safe custody? If you're going to do that, definitely the bank will charge you for that. Again, you want to establish and maintain a campaign office. And of course, so this will come with the utility cost. You're talking water, electricity, internet, the rent of that particular office. We're talking about the furniture, the computer, the stationery. We're talking about branding and signage. You may want people to know this is where my office is, the staff salaries. And we're talking about now staff who are working in your office. Please remember that IEBC requires that 45 days before election, you must have set up a physical office. Yes. So we have told you this, we have reminded you, you have no excuse not to comply. The next cost item you want to look at is the nomination forms and the supporting documents. If you're going to submit your forms for nomination, they need, for example, your academic papers. You may want to go back to the institution of your higher learning and get it. And mostly they require that it should be certified. That takes time and that comes at a cost. Again, the political party nomination forms, you have to print them, you have to sign them. Mostly you're doing it in many copies, maybe 3, 4, 5 copies. If things are done in back, definitely that is a cost that will be heavy. So you want to look at even a flash disk. IBC requires that you put your documents in on soft. You may want to use flash or a hard disk. You want to plan for that as well. In addition to that, as I've said, these documents usually they need to be certified. So we are talking about your health police clearance that comes at a cost for you to be able to get that. We're talking about health clearance, KRA clearance, ESCC, and even CRB. Some political parties insist on all these requirements, and even IEBC, and they're known as the Chapter 6 documents. So these are just the documents you need to have. And watch the episode where we tackled in depth Chapter 6 documents and how to get them. So once you get them, it's a requirement that they need to be, again, they're certified by an advocate. The advocate will definitely charge you. And so these are things that you need to prepare for and also prepare for them financially. And even when you're going to submit now your nomination papers, maybe the headquarters of your political party is in another county. So that means you have to travel and also budget for accommodation cost, because you could go there for one reason or another. You may not submit on the material day. So budget for that. We're talking about a supporters list. IBC requires, especially if you're vying as an independent candidate, they require you to have, for example, 500 supporters or 1,000 supporters, depending on the seat that you're vying for. Again, watch the episode where we talked about that in depth. So this list, for you to even acquire it, you have to go to the community, you have to interact with people. That comes at a cost. Once you have gotten it, you have to photocopy, you have to prepare it. There's a certain criteria that they have put in where how you're supposed to do that. All that comes at a cost. And then you have to submit it to IEBC. The other thing you want to look at again is the welfare and motivation of your team. Things happen. They say life happens to everybody. And of course, it will also happen to you during the campaign trail. Somebody may die, God forbid, but somebody may die. Maybe a member of your team may lose a family member or somebody who is important to them. Or just within the campaign trail, something may happen to you. Your team may get involved in a road accident. All these things happen. You need to plan for them. And then how are you just going to build up your team and their motivation? You may want to think about that, and whatever you decide definitely has a cost implication. When people have worked for you and you want to separate, you may want to just do for them certificates just for their own CV and just an appreciation note. You worked for me and you did this, and thank you, and this is a certificate that can show that. That comes at a cost. You definitely need money to campaign. So as they say, you need to use money to make money. So how are you going to fundraise? Are you going to have dinners? Are you going to have luncheons? Are you going to invite people to maybe a particular place like an Arambe and people contribute towards it? Are you going to set up, they're called crowdfunding, the one that is done through mobile money. A common one in Kenya is Mchanga. But are you going to use those platforms? All those things come with cost. Even to just set up a crowdfunding, it comes at a cost. You may also want to follow up and just appreciate your donors. There are many ways of appreciating people. Definitely that comes at a cost. Then now what we call the social cost. You are in a community, and because you are vying, members of your community will be coming and reaching out to you to support them in one event or another. For example, we have mentioned funerals, wedding, harambes. You want to donate to youth groups, women groups. There are so many things that people will be coming to you for support with. So you want to plan for this. Again, we are talking about gift tokens or raffles or just any branded thing that you want to give. All those come at a cost. You also want to have a contingency fund. Life happens. There are things that I probably have not mentioned in all these things, and even you, when you're planning, you didn't see them coming, but life happens. It's advisable you allocate between 10 to 15% of your total budget towards this, but don't forget to plan for contingency. I'd want to mention a disclaimer that IEBC usually sets up has set up the Campaign Finance Act that usually puts the limit on how much you're able to spend as a candidate. And watch the episode where we talked about campaign election fund in depth. So you want to comply with that limit that IEBC has set out for. You want to be on the lookout for the one that they're going to set up in the next election, and you comply with this particular requirements of IEBC. As I draw to the conclusion of this particular episode, I want to pass my heartfelt gratitude to Women United for Our Future for their continuous support in the production of this particular show, Linda Ogweno Political Show, and for empowering and building accountable, visionary women leadership in Kenya. I want to let them know that their partnership makes this work at Linda Ogweno Political Show very possible. So thank you very much, and I look forward, and as a team, we look forward to more partnerships with you. So as I close, please remember that budgeting is not just about money. It is a strategy, it is a discipline and accountability. Again, it shows your team and your voters that you're an organized person, that you're responsible, and that you're ready to lead. So don't take it for granted. So if you found this episode to be very helpful, I want to ask you for a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. I want to invite you to welcome other people who will be vying, other aspirants as well, to watch this particular show and to continue subscribing for the sake of the next election, so that together you and I can make sure that Kenya has better political governance. Thank you once again, and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.